July 5th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with the first police questioning of the driver involved in a deadly car accident in Seoul. The 68-year-old man told investigators that sudden unintended acceleration caused the accident. He also insisted the car's brakes didn't work at the time of the accident. An exit poll indicates the UK's Labour Party is on course to win a huge parliamentary majority in the general election, bringing the 14 years of Conservative rule to an end. For the first time in its 42-year history, the Korea baseball organization surpassed 6 million fans in the first half of the season. It took them just 418 games to achieve the milestone. The driver behind the deadly car accident that took 9 lives in downtown Seoul on Monday night faced police questioning on Thursday. He argued that a sudden unintended acceleration caused the accident. Lee Seung-jae has more.
Police in Seoul have conducted their first interrogation on the driver behind the deadly car crash that killed 9 and injured 7 others near City Hall on Monday night. The questioning took place on Thursday at Seoul National University Hospital, where the driver is being treated with 4 investigators and a lawyer present. During the 2-hour interview, the driver reiterated his initial statement that it was a sudden unintended acceleration that caused the deadly accident. According to the 68-year-old driver, surnamed Cha, he tried to step on the brakes, but it was stiff and could not be pushed down. As Cha is still recovering from his injuries, the police plan to continue questioning at a later date. Additional investigations will be conducted to inquire about the basis for determining sudden unintended acceleration, whether there were any abnormalities during the vehicle operation, and why the driver was driving in the wrong direction in the first place. It has been confirmed that the driver had begun accelerating from the time he left a hotel parking lot, so he's also expected to be asked about the reason for speeding at the time. On top of that, the police will question Cha over why he drove towards a group of pedestrians on the sidewalk. Police also say that based on an ongoing analysis of the sedan's event data recorder, the suspect significantly pressed the accelerator shortly before the accident. They also discovered that the secondary brake light did not light up during the accident and that no skid marks were found at the scene, contradicting the driver's claim of having applied the brakes. A Seoul court on Wednesday denied an arrest warrant request by the police, saying that he has no reason to evade police question, as he's currently hospitalized and under police protection for his personal safety. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Senior doctors at Asan Medical Center began reducing patient care starting Thursday in protest against the government's medical school quota expansion. Now, patients took to the streets, urging those doctors to return to duty. Cha Yoon-kyung has more.
At an emergency committee meeting of professors of medicine at the University of Ulsan, affiliated with the Asan Medical Center, they said that they will take intensive measures to ensure that there is no disruption in the treatment of critical illnesses and emergency care, but begin reducing non-essential treatments and surgeries instead of going on a full-scale strike. On the first day of readjusted medical treatment, the emergency committee predicted that major surgical operations would drop by 29% compared to last week. Hospital management expects there will be no massive disruption since there are about 10,000 outpatient appointments as usual. In response, a group of 92 patients' organizations staged a rally in central Seoul on Thursday, calling for doctors to end their ongoing walkout that has disrupted public health services and caused fear among patients. On the same day, Lee Sang-min, the Minister of Interior and Safety, vowed measures to minimize any negative impacts on returning trainee doctors, reiterating that the government will support them. Minister Lee once again explained the necessity of medical reform and urged trainee doctors to return to work. Lee also asked the residents to engage in dialogue to actively explain their demands. The government will announce measures for trainee doctors who have not returned to work in the near future. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
The National Assembly voted to pass the contentious opposition-led bill that calls for a special investigation into the death of a Marine during last year's floods. The ruling party lawmakers walked out in protest during the vote. Our Lee Si-hoo reports.
On Thursday, the National Assembly voted to approve the opposition-led bill calling for a special prosecution probe into the death of a Marine during last year's flood rescue operations and alleged government interference with a preliminary investigation into the case. It passed with 189 votes for and 1 against amid the ruling People Power Party walkout and protest. The voting followed a day-long filibuster launched Wednesday and an ensuing clash over its end declared by Speaker Woo Won-sik. During the filibuster, the PPP asserted the bill was politically motivated and targeted President Yoon Suk-yeol. The opposition bloc, led by the main opposition Democratic Party, reiterated the need for a special investigation, bringing up allegations that the government and military officials interfered with the initial internal investigation. But the bill was actually first introduced during the 21st National Assembly, also by opposition lawmakers who passed it unilaterally in early May. President Yoon Suk-yeol later vetoed the bill and it failed to pass a revote by the Assembly. The DP then reintroduced the bill as its first legislative goal when the 22nd National Assembly began its term at the end of May. Following Thursday's vote, PPP leader Chu Kyung-ho said the party will not be attending the opening ceremony of the 22nd National Assembly, originally scheduled for Friday. Chu also requested that President Yoon Suk-yeol too does not attend. Meanwhile, a high-ranking official at the presidential office called Thursday's legislative move a violation of the Constitution and a shame to the constitutional history. Lee Si-hu, Arirang News.
An exit poll published after voting ended at the UK's general election on Thursday says the Labour Party is set for a landslide victory, ending 14 years of Conservative rule. Now, the result would mean party leader Keir Starmer would replace Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister. Shin Ha-young reports.
The Labour Party is set for a landslide victory in the UK general election. BBC, ITV and Sky News announced joint exit poll results at 10 p.m. local time on Thursday after voting ended. According to the exit poll, Labour is projected to win 410 out of 650 seats in the House of Commons, which would make party leader Keir Starmer the next Prime Minister. Incumbent Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's ruling Conservative Party is forecast to end 14 years of rule, picking up just 131 seats, marking the party's worst electoral performance in its 190-year history. Right-wing Reform UK is expected to capture 13 seats, entering Parliament for the first time. The centrist Liberal Democrats are predicted to come third with 61 seats, while the Scottish National Party, which was third in the 2019 election, is expected to lose 10 seats, its worst showing since 2010. Voters from across 650 constituencies in England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland headed to the ballots on Thursday after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in May made a surprise move by calling for an early election. However, due to economic turmoil, inflation, worsening public health care, and increased immigration, a Labour victory was predicted even before the election began. Opinion polls consistently showed Labour with a lead of around 20 percentage points over the Conservatives, with support in the 40% range. The Labour Party has focused on centrist policies and pledged to rebuild public welfare services and achieve economic growth. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has agreed to send a delegation to negotiate a new ceasefire and hostage deal with Hamas. The announcement comes a day after reports emerged that the Palestinian militant group had sent a new ceasefire proposal. Israeli Prime Minister's office said that Netanyahu had also discussed the new ceasefire and hostage release deal over the phone with U.S. President Joe Biden. During the talks, the Israeli leader also emphasized his firm stance that he will end the war once all goals have been achieved. Meanwhile, the Lebanese military group Hezbollah targeted military bases in northern Israel for the second day straight, with 200 rockets in total fired. They say it's retaliation for an Israeli airstrike that killed a senior commander on Wednesday. Now, the entire country is officially under the influence of the monsoon season here in South Korea, with heavy downpours and strong winds. How to remain safe during this one? Let's turn to Professor Yoon Jin-ho this morning. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. So last year we saw so many sporadic showers and downpours, so often. Will we experience something similar again this year?
Well, we are right at the peak of the summer monsoon, the rainy period of the summer. So whether or not we're going to have a rain today, tomorrow, it doesn't matter. We are going to see those types of sporadic showers and downpours. So like this morning, we did have a bit of rain in Gwangju area, but likely in the next week, we expect that kind of a rain after another one in whole week. So just prepare for kind of the rainy days in the coming weeks.
Right, the past few days, it's been on and off. And we've seen subway stations everywhere being flooded and cars being, stuck in flooded streets. Circumstances that affect many people in the central region who have to commute every morning, every night. Professor, if we do have to take public transportation, what do you suggest that we do?
Well, first of all, you have to check your weather forecast more regularly these days. So I know it's an extra thing to do in your daily routine, but this is going to help. And then after you hear the forecast, prepare things accordingly. For example, you need to check where you got flooded in the past, because those areas will get flooded again. And then, if possible, you have to avoid those routes that flooded in the past, like underpass and so on like that. So just take the extra caution as much as possible.
So keeping ourselves updated frequently on those weather updates. Now, is there any way we can keep ourselves from heavy rain, especially for those living in apartments or those living in semi-basement flats that we have here in the country?
Well, as I told you, you have to check your surroundings, like for example, your sewage system around you. If there's anything stuck in the middle, you have to clean that by yourself or just call somebody to help. And then when the forecast say that there's going to be too much rain, it is best to stay in the safe places, not in the underground places. So, so because of that, you have to watch this weather forecast carefully, and then the government warnings and so on. When the time comes, just avoid and then stay in the safe place as much as possible.
Right, sounds like prevention is the key as always. Now, how long will this monsoon season last this year, until when?
Well, the monsoon season is about a month long. That's what we usually kind of study in the textbook.
Right.
So meaning that we have a minimum 2 to 3 weeks to go. Of course, it depends on where you are. Like Jeju will end it a bit earlier than Seoul. But, even after this, the monsoon, the rainy part of the summer, we are going to have hot days in late part of July and August. So, in these 2 months, July and August, the weather is going to be the key, important things to watch for.
Right. When talking about harsh weather conditions during the summertime, we have to talk about typhoons. There are usual but unwelcomed guests every year. Should we brace ourselves for for some strong ones this year as well?
Well, we have to wait until like late July to tell you more. But the things happening over the Atlantic is very far away. But the Atlantic Ocean has a Category 5 storms, which is the earliest Cat 5 storms on record over that region. Meaning that when the tropical cyclone is developed, because the ocean is so warm, there's a high chance to be very, very, grow as a strong one. So, we have to watch it carefully, but the season is likely at the end of July to August and early September. So, not right now, but we need to watch carefully for that.
Right, Professor, you mentioned this earlier. It's not just the rain. Heat waves will be on the way shortly after the monsoon season. The question is, how hot will it be after the monsoon season comes to an end? I mean, temperature-wise, will it be as high as 40 degrees Celsius, some say?
Well, it is very difficult to tell how high it can go, but we certainly expect to have those hot days. And like according to the KMA, just released a report on the the June, the last month is the climatic characteristic. The June was the warmest on record. So of course, it doesn't mean that July will be the warmest or the August will be the warmest on record, but we just have to embrace that we are going to have hot days. And then you have to find a way to stay safe. For example, drink enough water for when you are outside, or stay in the shadow areas as much as possible. So those precautions will help.
Definitely. Stay hydrated. That's the key point. All right, Professor Yoon, thank you so much for joining us this morning. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
The Korea Baseball Organization's league's attendance for the 2024 season surpassed 6 million fans before the All-Star break on Thursday, and younger fans appear to have played a role in the great popularity. Our An Sung-jin tells us more.
Screams and shouts echo around the stadium. Any South Korean ballpark will make you want to get up on your feet to join the cheering crowd. Baseball has been known as having a relatively older fan base, with the average fan being in their 50s. But over the past few years, a particular trend stands out. It's the increasing number of younger fans and female fans that come to watch the game.
I think I come here to enjoy the delicious food and cheer with other people. The cheering culture is well developed, so you get to have fun with your friends.
I think people are interested because the cheering culture is so well developed.
I would agree on the cheering culture, but also new TV shows on baseball are trending these days, so I think that also boosts the popularity.
The KBO Korean Baseball League looks set to see a record-high 10 million stadium goers by the end of the season. And according to a major ticket office for the league, 4 out of 10 audience members are in their 20s, which is nearly double what it was in 2019. And more than half of the audience is female.
More dynamic and an enjoyable experience.
Then what attracts this younger age group? An official says there's more to Korean baseball than its outstanding cheering culture.
As we work with more OTT services such as YouTube as well as Instagram, fans get to enjoy more of our content. There are also many content creators that the Korean Baseball League has to compete with, so we plan to develop more sports content that captures not only young fans but other age groups too.
With the vibrant cheering culture attracting more and more fans, an afternoon at the ballpark looks to be one of the hottest tickets in town. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Seong, and now we turn over to the world now. French government spokesperson Prisca Thévenot, who is a candidate in the country's snap parliamentary election, was attacked while campaigning in Paris as a growing number of candidates and activists are being targeted in the run-up to Sunday's final round of elections. Thévenot was putting up election posters with members of her team in the southwest of Paris when a gang of around 10 youths assaulted them for trying to stop them from defacing party posters. While Thévenot herself was not harmed, her deputy suffered an arm injury and a campaign team member activist ended up with a broken jaw. French Interior Minister Gérald Darmanin said police arrested 4 people, including 3 teenagers. Prime Minister Gabriel Attal condemned the attacks and called on French citizens to reject the climate of violence and hatred that's taking hold. 30,000 police are set to be deployed across France for Sunday's second round of parliamentary elections to ensure order is maintained. Following Tuesday's crowd crush at a Hindu religious event in India that left 121 people dead, the Indian police said on Thursday that they had arrested 6 people in connection with the incident. A police report said that some 250,000 people gathered to listen to preacher Shiraj Pal Singh, also known as Bol Baba, while the organizers of the event only had permission for a maximum of 80,000 people. 4 men and 2 women were arrested for the deadly crush in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh, all of whom were aides of the religious leader. Preacher Baba stated on Wednesday that the stampede was caused by antisocial elements with no further explanation given. Officials said that by Thursday, the dead, which includes 112 women and 7 children, have all been identified and their bodies given back to their families. This summer in Russia is proving to be one of the hottest seen in more than a century. Moscow broke its 1917 temperature record this week, and many cities across the country are sweltering in temperatures well above 35 degrees Celsius. According to the Phobos Weather Center, on Wednesday, the mercury rose to 32.7 degrees Celsius in Moscow, topping the record set in 1917 for that day by half a degree. Phobos stated that records were broken across the country from Russia's Pacific coast to Siberia and regions closer to Europe. While many Muscovites are finding relief in the city's fountains and parks, Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin urged residents to take precautions amid the heat wave. And finally to New York's Coney Island and the annual 4th of July hot dog eating contest, where competitive eaters gorged down on dozens of hot dogs. This year saw a new champion in the men's category, with Chicago's Patrick Bertolotti chomping down on 58 hot dogs in 10 minutes to take home his first mustard belt. Defending women's champion Miki Sudo broke a record with 51 hot dogs in 10 minutes, once again making history at the contest. The American spectacle, held annually on Independence Day, began in 1980, when the winners of the first ever competition tied with just 9 hot dogs each.
Good morning. It did not rain as much as expected overnight, but moisture in the air is making it feel quite muggy under cloudy skies in the capital this morning. Then lingering monsoon rain in some parts of the country should let up in the morning hours. Then mostly sunny skies will shine down with very strong UV rays. Extreme levels for Jeju and some of the south coast regions today. And making matters tougher are scorching temperatures in certain parts of the country with heat advisories. The capital area will have lower daytime highs today under cloudy skies. So Seoul gets up to 27 degrees Celsius, but Gyeongju soars to 34 degrees this afternoon. Drink plenty of water and take it easy today. Also, food safety is a must around this time with that heat and humidity. Meanwhile, more monsoon rain is in the forecast this weekend. It will rain down heavily on Saturday in the central regions, but the south will be rainy on Sunday. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back next Monday at the same time, 9 a.m. Korea time.